Hello everyone, my name is Lara Guevara and today we're going to talk about the book titled Methods for Effective Teaching, Meeting the Needs of All Students. In this video we are going to focus on Chapter 1. With me, you'll be looking at pages 18 all the way through page 22. These are the questions that you should have in mind as we go through this section. How can we find diversity in a classroom? What are the challenges of an English language learner? And what is a SIOP model? These are vocabulary words for their section. We have diversity, English language learners, shelter instructions, SIOP model. We're going to start with our first topic, increasing student diversity. You will find diversity in your classroom in many ways. Diversity can be seen in different factors like gender, language, religion, race, among others that you can see here. Diversity has always been around in the education setting, and it's important for you to know that you will be seeing this material later in Chapter 2. An example of diversity in your classroom can be when a class is composed of students from all over the world. You could have students from Mexico or Canada. Diversity also refers when a child is Christian, but another one is Catholic. Now, there are two specific areas where diversity is seen the most. First, we have students with disabilities, and second, we have English language learners. So, let's talk about students with disabilities. Educators should know about the Individuals with Disabilities Education Act. This is because this act addresses the responsibilities an educator has with these students. Some of the disabilities could be visual, hearing, physical, emotional, intellectual, and there are other classifications as well. It's very important that you're aware of these students because as a teacher you need to observe an entire classroom on what's going on in general. Now, let's talk about our second group, English language learners. These are students who are in the process of learning English. They need to know how to speak, read, and write it. Although we might have an increasing number of students with disabilities, we have an even bigger number for ELLs. Before we start, think about how the US population has changed through the years. The characteristics for a classroom in general have changed. The truth is that 1 out of 5 children is a child of migrants, and also, English language learners are present in 1 out of 10 students. Now, let's go to our next topic. We continue to talk about English language learners. As we previously discussed, ELLs are students that are in the process of learning English, and you will encounter students like this all the time. Some will be more educated than others. Some will come from professional families. Some are children from migrant workers. But most importantly, always remember that ELLs explore two cultures. A big example is when a student born in Mexico has a Mexican culture and they move to the US adopting an American culture within their environment. And now they have two cultures together. Okay, so let's talk numbers. The National Clearinghouse for English Language Acquisition said that the number of ELLs increased by 51% from 1999 to 2011. This means we keep growing and we're growing fast. States like California, Arizona, and Texas, among others, have large numbers of ESLs. People speak over 400 languages in the United States, the most common minority language being Spanish. As a teacher, you need to be prepared for these students to meet their learning needs. Instruction needs to always be adapted in a diverse classroom. With this in mind, let's continue. Our next topic is challenges of English language learners. ELLs face many languages when they're attending school. They face things like limited knowledge of English, difficulty to understand the teacher, they have low participation, and they struggle in completing classroom assignments or assessments. The overall school performance will be always affected by these factors. Now, some concerns that we have for ELLs are having high dropout rates and having high frequencies. Also, 10% of young adults fail to complete high school, but for ELLs, the percentage is 3 times more. Now, let's talk about the next topic, teaching English language learners in all classrooms. The number of ELLs is always increasing. Therefore, teachers are always teaching English. These are the 4 major instructional models for ELLs. Instructional methods using the native language, instructional method using the native language as support, instructional methods using English as a second language, and we have content-based or sheltered instruction. Sheltered instruction is an approach that uses strategies where the concepts are becoming comprehensible while the student's English is developing and the language is being promoted. There are 2 programs for sheltered instruction, CALLA. This is a program that includes instruction with language development along with clear learning strategies. For example, the student will learn language from concepts in the classroom, not from language forms. CALA teachers have 5-phase lesson plans. They include preparation, presentation, practice, evaluation, and expansion. This approach is sometimes difficult for teachers to follow. Also, ELLs with poor English can still struggle to learn the content with this approach. Now, the model for ELLs that is more widely adopted is the SIOP. This was originally a lesson plan observation protocol, but now it's an effective lesson planning and delivery system. It's a way to plan content and teach it so that ELLs learn content and they also develop their English. The SIOP model has a lot of flexibility in design and instruction options. This is a framework that makes sure that effective teaching takes place with all learners. The SIOP model has 8 components and 30 features. They have no order and they are interrelated and implemented in each lesson. This is a picture of the components so that you can have a better idea of what the SIOP approach looks like. Alright, now let's look at every single one of the components. First, we have lesson preparation. Here's where the teacher defines and reviews content with the students. Teacher makes sure that the content is age appropriate. The teacher also adapts material for student proficiency. The activities are always meant to be meaningful and integrate concepts with language practice opportunities. Now, building background. There is an emphasis on key vocabulary and making links to prior knowledge and concepts. Then, we have comprehensive input, which is about explaining clearly and speaking appropriately. We also have strategies, where we can have opportunities for the students to create higher order thinking questions. And now, in interaction, we can see a chance for discussion. It's a chance for them to talk to each other. We also have practice or application, and this is where the teacher gives activities that the students can relate to their language. There are a lot of hands-on materials that help the students practice the knowledge. There is also lesson delivery, where we address content objectives by delivering the content. Students should be engaged for at least 90% of the lesson. There is an appropriate pace for the abilities. And to finish, we have review and assessment, where they show their comprehension on the subject, and this is where they show their learning. All learners will benefit from this model, not just ELLs. Mainstream teachers can also use the SIOP model for any grade level as well. Now we have concluded with Chapter 1. These are the questions you can answer after watching the video. Thank you.